Hello, grade 5. Today we're going to do exercise 1 on your worksheets. Exercise 1. Observe the experiment below and answer the following questions. Most living things respire. Most of the living things, they respire, yani they breathe. They take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Like us, we take oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Lime water is used to detect the presence of carbon dioxide. As we know, now we took in previous sessions the test of O2. We bring a match that's about to fade. Today we have a new test. It's the test of CO2. If you want to know if there's CO2, we bring something called lime water. Lime water will become turbid, yani will become like it has the color white if there is CO2 يعني إذا حطيت lime water and if there is CO2 in the air it will become turbid and remains clear in its absence. So this is a small introduction فيها هيك small short information about the lesson. A grade 5 student was wondering, do green plants respire? We have here a question. So here we have the problem. To detect the process of respiration in green plant, we have two. This is objective. To detect the process of respiration in green plant is the objective. She said that the below experiments, she did these experiments. Experiment 1 and experiment 2. So experiment 1, dead leaves and lime water were placed in a closed jar supplied with oxygen in a dark cupboard. We bring dead leaves and lime water. We closed the jar on them and we filled the jar with oxygen and we placed them in a dark cupboard. We placed them in the dark so the plant doesn't perform photosynthesis. أنا ما بدي إياها تعمل photosynthesis. and I want to see it in the night. What is the plant doing at night? Does it respire? That's why I place it in the darkness. Experiment 2. Now living leaves are placed with lime water in a closed jar supplied with oxygen in a dark cupboard. نفس الشيء, the same experiment, but instead of dead leaves, we bring living leaves and we place them in the jar. Here we're going to see the experiments 1 and 2. Experiment 1 and 2 were placed in the same conditions, but we have the leaves that are different. One leaves are dead and 2 leaves are living. After 2 hours, we see that in experiment 1, the lime water stays clear, while in 2, the lime water becomes turbid. I have read before that with CO2, lime water becomes turbid. So in experiment 2, صار في عندي CO2 in the jar after 2 hours. So if the jar doesn't contain anything, only the leaves, so the CO2 is coming from the leaves. This will indicate that the green plants respire because they release CO2. Now let's read the questions. Pick out from the text. Everything now I'm going to answer is from the text. The posed problem, we search for the question, do green plants respire? The objective, we search for the two to identify to detect the process of respiration in the green plants. Now, the absorbed gas during respiration, they said in the introduction that when we respire, we absorb oxygen O2. The released gas, yani what I am releasing, is CO2. The purpose of using lime water, why I use lime water? I use lime water to detect the presence of CO2, to know if there is CO2 in the air. This is easy, everything is written in the text. Now we're going to do the table. Using the information above, complete the table of conditions. First of all, we have the title. The title is always table of conditions. Now we have to put plus or minus if we have it or no. First of all, they put plant. So the plant in 1 is dead, in 2 is living. Lime water, there's the lime water in the 2, so plus plus. Then we have oxygen, plus plus, both jars contain oxygen. Then we have light. Both of them were placed in the darkness. because I don't want the plant to do photosynthesis. I want it to be relaxed and I want to see it if in her relaxation does it respire or no. So there is no light, minus minus. Then the duration means how many time I waited for the plant. The time I waited is 2 hours for both of these experiments. Now legend means I'm going to put plus means what, minus means what. Plus is present, minus is absent. So here if I look at the table of conditions, what's different between 1 and 2? I notice that the difference is by the plant. One is dead, the other one is living. Everything else is identical. Both of them have lime water, oxygen. Both of them, I waited for them 2 hours, and both of them do not have light. So the variable factor here is yani that what is changing is the plant. So here we have number 3, indicate the variable factor. The variable factor is the plant, and 1 is dead, and 2 is living. Now compare the result. Results, yani what did I obtain after 2 hours? So in 1, lime water stays clear, while, compare, we have to use while, in 2, lime water becomes turbid. Now, we said that when lime water is turbid, this means there's carbon dioxide. So in which jar there's carbon dioxide? Of course, in the jar that the lime water becomes turbid, so it's jar 2. Draw out a conclusion if the plant respire. Thus, living plant respire. Why? Because they release CO2 as we see in experiment 2. Lacan, at night, green plant respire. They do not do photosynthesis. They respire like us. They take oxygen and release CO2. Explain, using your knowledge, why the plants were placed in darkness. We placed them in darkness because we don't want it to do photosynthesis, because in the light it will perform photosynthesis and I don't want this to happen. So they are placed in darkness because they perform photosynthesis in the light and I don't want that to happen. I know that in photosynthesis they take CO2 and release O2. I don't want this. I want to see if they do respiration, if they take O2 and release CO2. And after the experiment, I noticed that yes, they do. They respire like us. They take in oxygen and release CO2. This is the exercise. You have to copy the answers, and thank you for being with me.